Good morning, everyone. So today we are celebrating the half century of our current affairs class, YouTube Live. Today is the 50th class of the Saturday YouTube Live session. And we'll start the class and we'll cover the news from 5th of July to 11th of July. So many things were there in the news, right? So many important articles were there. Not every news we'll be able to cover, but our motto is what? How to cover the news, what all dimensions to add, how to link one news with the other news, and how to compare also. If Killary excavation is there in news, so what should we know about other things now related to history? What other kind of questions can come? So that comparison will be made in the class, and that is a habit that we have to develop, okay, whenever we are reading a topic. So this is our motive. Hi Anand, good morning. How are you? Good morning, guys. Please share the live with your friends. Call them, message them, join the live. Very important to attend. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I hope you understand the intention. Okay. So what all news were there past week? What all news were there? Guys, tell me one by one. Many news were there, right? One news by everyone. One article. Yes. Tell me the UPSC relevance. Hmm? Yes. You, Abdurrahim, news? Any news? Aslam? रमीज थोड़ा इधर हो जाओ. Yes, Aslam. News. Ashwan. Yes. Adarsh. हाँ. Hmm. Okay. News articles. Hi Shinzi, how are you? Yes. Yes. Arunima, news article. Any news for UPSC which is relevant? Guys, Dev Pujita. News, any article other than BRICS and US? Good morning, students. How are you all? Please say hi so that I know and I can mark your attendance also. Yeah. So today's first article is about the International Conference on Financing for Development. Why this is important for developing countries also or developed countries also. What all topics can be integrated with this topic. Okay. So we'll be dealing with all the things. This topic is related to international organizations, economy and environment also. How environment is related to this topic? Any guesses? Any idea? So United States is also in this article and it skips global United Nations meeting aimed at raising trillions of dollars to combat poverty. Okay, more than 70 leaders are attending, the United Nations said. US skipped along with representatives of the international financial institution, development banks, philanthropic organization. Many bodies are participating. Okay, so how this topic is important, guys? It is related to environment also. Okay, how? That we have to understand. So it is held in Spain. Location is important because many times we see that basic factual based questions are coming. Hi Ashwin, how are you? Okay. Organized by whom? Body is important. United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA and ECOSOC. Then theme is bridging the 4 trillion SDG financing gap. This is why it is important. Sustainable Development Goal financing gap. So what is happening is sustainable development targets are there. Every week we are covering this thing, right? 2030 targets are there, right? But how do we achieve this target? Clean energy, green energy, good infrastructure, a supply chain, robust supply chain. How do we do that? Poverty, declining the poverty also. India is doing good, but it needs financing, right? Financing, how will we get the money? Developed countries already are in a good state, but developing countries like India, China, they are not in a good state. They need investment, they need financing, right? Many countries are there. So how to get that money? We have to take help from developed countries, right? But if they do not provide the help, then what will happen? We'll not be able to achieve our targets. So this is related to that there is a financing gap. Financing gap is there, money gap is there, which has to be filled by the support of other people, other parties. Okay, now this international conference on financing for development will include every aspect, every sector. Okay, so it adopted the, this is important guys, many times we have seen that how UPSC asks question. Okay, so whenever there is a international organization, international commitment is there, or some meeting is there, in that whatever step is taken, okay, whatever goal is taken, what is the result, outcome of that agreement or that meeting, that becomes important. Some terms they use, like this is their commitment, this commitment they have taken. So this can be asked that this commitment is related to what, which organization, when it was taken, like that. Okay, so this commitment is related to Ramesh Sevilla, commitment is related to which organization, which meeting? Financing for development. Financing for development. Okay, UN DESA, DESA, organized by UN DESA and ECOSOC. Okay, which is again United Nations organization only. Now, the goal is what? Theme of this meeting was, we already saw that, bridging the 4 trillion financing gap in developing nation. Okay, so we have to bridge that gap. There is a need. If we want to achieve the clean energy or reduce the dependence on the fossil fuel, we have to get the investment, we have to get the money so that we can do more and more, right? If we do not get that financing, we will not be able to do that. So for that bridging, the discussion is going on. Already we have seen that there are some targets are there on every country to give to developing nations, right? But those targets are also a failure now because they are not contributing. Developed countries are not contributing, which is making them this financing very what difficult. Hi Mohammed, how are you? Hi Prasanna, how are you? Now, USA skipped the conference despite being a major economic power. Is this good? No, this is not good, right? This is not showing the cooperation, right? And the credibility also. So, United States is not participating. So, it is a major economic power and many countries are dependent on United States. Yes or no? Direct, indirect way. Now, FFD, financing for development, is a United-led process to mobilize global finance for sustainable development. This way, it is again sustainable development again is in news. So don't you think that it can be asked in the UPSC examination? Sustainable development becomes important, right? How many targets are there? And which goal matches to which target? Yes or no? So please remember all the 17 goals. Okay. Goal number 2 is what? Goal number 4. Last week we discussed about goal number 4. Prasanna, sustainable development goal number 4 is related to what? Muhammad. Hi Rana, Rasla, how are you? Anand. SDG 4. What is the target under SDG 4? Very good. 5. Goal number 1. Hunger क्या है? Hunger. Zero hunger. Not good, guys. Please memorize it well. Okay. Now the background, the history of the FFT. Okay. First it held in Mexico. An outcome document was Monterey Consensus, because we do not know what kind of question can come. So till now 4 meetings have been conducted. FFD, this time it is the 4th. Okay, so FFD, this can also be asked for form. What is, this was in news, what is it? Okay, like that. Now second is Qatar, third is Addis Ababa, and then 4th is Seville, Spain. Now these are the outcome documents: Addis Ababa action agenda, Sevilla commitment, Doha declaration. So these outcomes can also be asked in what way? That these terms will be given, the outcomes will be given, and they can ask you it is related to which meeting, right? Or which commitment, yes or no? So like this also you have to guess, right? Now this is the statement of the United Nations General Secretary General. Financing is the engine of development, and right now this engine is sputtering. Means what? So it shows the commitment of the countries. This means that it is not going on in a right direction, right? So financing is very important for development. We need in every sector, in every sphere. Now, Context and challenges. So many developing countries are facing these issues. Yes or no? Trade barriers are there, direct trade barrier, indirect trade barrier, like the carbon tax. Carbon tax is also a trade barrier. Yes or no? How many of you agree? Carbon tax, CBAM. CBAM. It was in news. Yes or no? CBAM, carbon, carbon. Okay, we'll cover this thing also. So this is a carbon tax. Under CBM, there is a carbon tax which is proving to be very negative for developing countries. Again, a trade barrier, right? So developing countries are already facing many issues. Reduced FDI inflow. This was also in news that FDI in the developing countries is decreasing. This is also there, right? And this is a challenge. This is not good. Why? If FDI is decreasing is not good, because when FDI comes, what happens? Economy grows, no? Activities grow, and employment, job creation, these all things are there, right? We can update many things, infrastructure system, many things can be updated. Declining international aid, this is also the challenge that developing countries are facing. And rising debt burden. Matlab, developing countries are spending most of the wealth or their finances on the clearing the debt burden, right? Debt burden is rising, and expenditure in health, education and other sector is declining in developing countries. This is also a challenge which we are facing, right? So these are the challenges. Now see, debt service payment is more than the actual expenditure in other areas which are very crucial for growth. In 2025, 3.4 billion live in nations that spend more on debt interest than the health and education sector. So how will the real development happen? Now, major outcome we already know that Sevilla commitment is there, and this reinforces what? The 2015 outcome. The 2015 outcome of this FFD is what? Addis Ababa Action Agenda, right? So this is the outcome, and this reinforces the Sevilla agreement, reinforces this outcome. Now focuses on catalyzing investment at scale, tackling debt and global financing system. This is the Sevilla platform for action. So these are the actions that will be taken. Debt swaps for development hub. So debt exchanges will be there, right? Led by Spain and World Bank, aims to scale up debt swap mechanism. Debt swap means we already have an existing loan. Hi Ridunanda, how are you? Okay, we already have a loan. Then debt swap means that a new loan, refreshed loan is there, and then new terms conditions are applied. So this is debt swapping, right? So this action was taken. Next is Italy's debt for development swap program has been announced. 230 million of African debt converted to development projects. So this is also a swap program. Sevilla Forum on Debt, platform to coordinate debt management and restructuring, effective taxation of high net worth individual initiative. So taxing the ultra rich, right? So that is the effective taxation of high net individual. This will not be asked, so this is not that important. Now, the finance COP context, FFD and climate financing, how they are interrelated. Conference of Party is there, right? Conference of Party is very important, which is related to climate or climate change. Yes or no? COP29, COP28, right? These are always in news, and whenever they're in news, definitely question will come, because climate change is there, right? If we are going to tackle the climate change, we are working for tackling the climate change, lessening its impact, right? Financing also we need for doing what? Climate change only, lessening the impact of climate change, clean energy, green energy, right? So how they are interrelated? This FFD4 and climate financing, how they are interrelated. COP29 is called as Finance Conference of Party. There also finance related talks were there, right? Which held in Azerbaijan, and you can see the location. Now, 300 billion annual goal by 2035 under the new collective quantified goal was taken. 300 billion annual goal will be given to whom? developing countries. Okay, so UNCTAD, United Nations, full form is United Nations Conference for Trade and Development. Okay, so this is a body which works for trade and development related task at the world level. So according to this, what is the amount that developing nations need by 2030? It is $1.4 trillion. And yahan pe we saw that COP29 300 billion annual goal was taken, and they will be giving this by 2035, which is actually less. So what India is telling is that this goal that was taken at COP29, it is actually very low, which will not be fulfilling the gap or bridging the gap of financing for the climate change. Okay, understood? So this is again a issue, that these developed countries are going away from their commitment, right? Now Paris Agreement also come into the context, how that there is a term called differentiated responsibility. Paris Agreement, right? Common but differentiated responsibility, right? So CBDR, this is also there. So what happens in that why climate change is happening? First of all, we have to understand why climate change is happening. Who is responsible? There is a debate over on the at the global scale that why climate change happened. Who did this? Yeah, it is the result of the actions. They are more responsible taken by developed countries. Developed countries are more responsible for doing this, inviting this climate change and the impact all over the world. Yes or no? So they should be held more responsible for what? Tackling the climate change. So there is common but differentiated responsibilities under the global climate agreement, which every country has to contribute. Under that is a fair treatment. The developing countries also have a goal. They will be contributing some amount, and developed countries will also be contributing some amount towards doing what? Tackling the climate change. But here what happens is that countries are going away from their commitments. They are not actually doing the contribution that was given to them. So this also creates a challenge for countries like India, China. They are saying that this is just a token amount, right? So they termed the COP29 outcome as abysmally poor, paltry, and a major setback to the climate action. We will not be able to take the climate action. Alarm bell for developing nation as 2023 FDI lowest since 2005. This is also related to this topic. FDI is low, right? So we can study about this thing also, that FDI is coming low in the developing nation, challenges of developing nations, right? When FDI is low, definitely growth development will be impacted, climate financing will be impacted. Yes or no? According to World Bank. India got 6% of the total FDI into emerging nations, and time period is 2012 to 2023. Now, the World Bank report title is what? Foreign direct investment in retreat. It is retreating, right? So this can also be asked that FDI in retreat is the title of which of the following report? Okay, so the World Bank report. The title is FDI retreat. Highlights are what? That in the developing countries, it is declining and it is the lowest in 20 years. You don't have to remember the numbers. Percentage you can remember 6% India, because we see that UPSC is interested in percentage numbers also. So you can be smart and some few percentages or the trend you can remember. Causes are what? Rise in trade investment barriers. These are the causing the FDI dip. Warning by World Bank. What is the warning that is given by World Bank? Obviously, this FDI decrease will impact every sector, job creation, SDG financing. Okay, so this is how this topic is related to the what? FFD. Okay, financing for development. So growth will also be less, job creation will be less, activities will be less. So it is going to impact many areas. China received 33% of total FDI in 2012 to 2023, Brazil 10%, India 6%. Now this is the number, gross inflow, how much it was there in 2024-25, 81.04 billion. And net flow is what? 353 million. So net and gross. Now the question time. Okay. Consider the following statement. It's very easy question. I think all will be able to answer the question. Do not tell the answer now. I'll ask. The first International Conference on Financing for Development took place in Doha, Qatar. The Sevilla Commitment was signed by USA, UK, France, Germany, Italy. Effective taxation of high net worth individual initiative was launched by Brazil and Spain. This is too much detailing. Do not worry about this thing. Okay. But give me the answer, guys. Which of the above statements are incorrect? कौन सा statement incorrect है? And you, I think you know the answer already. You can get easily. Online students, can you please give the answer? What all statements are incorrect? First one is incorrect, and only first one is incorrect. Second, incorrect. Second is incorrect. Why? Second statement is also incorrect. Why? Because, है ना? Did not. It skipped, right? Sevilla commitment is related to what? Finance for development 4, and USA did not attend this meeting. Simple. So second we can eliminate. Second elimination. Oh, sorry. Second is wrong. Yes. So second is there. Answer is what? B. 1 and 2 are incorrect. USA did not participate. And first one is what? It was held in Mexico. Second was held in Doha. Okay. How this topic is very interesting, and many questions can be asked from this topic, and this topic was in news since 2-3 years. It is in news, right? Why? Because biofuels. What are biofuels? Alternative to fossil fuels, correct? It is an alternative to fossil fuels. Now topic is what? How India's biofuel potential complements its leadership in sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, sustainable aviation fuel. So these fuels, with the name itself, you can understand their nature. It is sustainable aviation fuel, which is going to be eco-friendly, right? Eco-friendly. It is termed as eco-friendly fuel. Okay. Now, sustainable aviation fuel provides an opportunity for India to leverage its feedback resources to be a market leader in the sector and make meaningful contribution to global decarbonization effort. Now, what are the major economic and logistic challenges? See, this is there. India has kept a target for blending. So these fuels are an alternative to fossil fuel, first of all, and India has started blending SAF into the aviation turbine fuel, ATF. Okay. So ATF is there, conventional fuels are there. So we started the blending process. Why these fuels are very good and easy to adopt also? Because we don't have to change the engines of the aircraft. No parts will be changed. It can be used in the existing aircrafts. Okay. So this is why it is very good to use. Okay. And India can achieve the target also. It is thinking of exporting this thing also, biofuel, exporting it to other countries. So there also we have the potential. Okay. So many areas are covered in this topic. Goals are covered in this topic. Okay. Sustainable SAF, which can be blended with regular jet fuel, is expected to the biggest contributor in the industry's decarbonization efforts. So aviation sector, right? Carbonization is there, right? We have to decarbonize everything. European Union's carbon tax is aimed at what? Decarbonizing the industry factories, right? So whatever thing will be imported, they will be done what? Carbon tax will be applied on them, so that factories are using less fossil fuels. This is also, we have to do the what? Negative. We have to do what? Discourage every sector to use less carbon or less fossil fuel. Tabhi we can be able to meet our climate goals, climate action goals. Okay. So this is there. Now, sustainable aviation fuel and India's biofuel potential. We have to understand this thing. So context is what? On Global Energy Independence Day, July 10, focus turned to clean alternatives in high emission sector. So aviation sector is a contributor towards what? Global warming, towards climate change, right? High emission sector. So aviation sector is also there. Aviation contributes 2.5% of the annual CO2 emission and 4% of total anthropogenic global warming. See, 2.5 alone aviation sector is contributing towards the carbon emission and 4% of total anthropogenic global warming. That is why it is very important. More than 50% contribution is there. SAF is a solution to decarbonize the aviation sector. Next is India can produce 40 million tons of SAF by 2050, becoming a global SAF hub. So we want to produce more and we want to be a hub also, so that export can also be done. Okay. Now, what is SAF? First of all, you should know this thing. Bio-based alternative biofuel for conventional jet fuels. Now, this is a drop in fuel. Means what? Drop in fuel. So this term can also be asked. Drop in fuel means that it can be used, right? Can be blended with the traditional, conventional fuel used in existing aircraft. Okay. So there is no need to do anything or buy new parts. Then it has the potential to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by up to 80%. So 80% less emission will be there if it is used. Now, this is the goal. Center expects to double blending of SAF to 2% by 2028. This statement can be asked. The center's goal of blending SAF, definitely this will be asked this year, next year, or the coming year, because we have the target till what? We have target by 2050 that ICAO members agreed to net zero CO2 emission by 2050. I told you, net zero emission is there every countries. We have 2070 net zero emission. Yes or no? 2070, right? Then other countries have 2050 net zero emission, right? So this definitely will be asked. What is the current SAF blending target? Or by 2027, what is the blending target of India? Right? Niti Aayog has suggested GST at 5% on SAF and other concession to promote SAF. So this is the data. By 2030, we have to blend 5% of the SAF, which is very practical also. Now, many sources can be used to derive this fuel, this biofuel, right? Like oil and fats, agriculture and forestry residues. Now, challenges are also there. We'll discuss about the challenges also. So, when we talk about oil and fats, algae, animal fat, oil-rich crop or used cooking oil can also be used. Waste food can also be used for creating this fuel. Sugarcane, corn, stover and wood waste can also be used. Sugar and starches, municipal solid waste can also be used. Now, this line is very important, very, very important. This talks about challenges also related, associated with SAF. What is this line? Dev Pujita, can you read this, please? Ajil, what does it mean? This line? Yeah. So, India has two things in mind. What are these two things? One is food security. India has to maintain food security. Yes or no? Food security is there. Then fuel security, right? Fuel security. We have to be less dependent on the other countries for oil or for other kind of sources of energy. And we have to be self-dependent on the sources of energy. Yes or no? So these two challenges are already there. So if we move towards one goal, completing the one goal or reaching the one goal like SAF, blending, it should not be compromised with what? Food security goal of India. How it will not compromise? Definitely some negative impact will be there of SAF blending. Yes. If we want this fuel, biofuel, negative environmental concern will be there, negative social concern will be there. Yes or no? How many of you agree? Right? So social concern means what? Environmental concern means what? Deforestation will start. Wood waste, right? So wood, these things can be used. Then other things are like what? Think about it, guys. Tell me. Biodiversity loss. How? Biodiversity will be lost. Cropping pattern will be changed. Yes or no? Huh? We need now crops, we need, right, for this fuel. So if we start changing our cropping pattern, like one plant production or one plant growing one plant in the field like that, so that then also it will be changed, right? It will be having the impact. Negative impact should not be there. So because of this, we are saying that this should not harm the food security also, that food resources should not be motivated towards this producing this fuel, biofuel. Okay. Now environmental benefit, positive are there. Positives like greenhouse emission will be coming down, lower emission of these, and then next is what, cleaner combustion will be there, contributes to net aviation goal, net zero aviation goal. Complementary innovations, renewable fuels of non-biological origin produced from green hydrogen, captured CO2, and potential for net negative emission. This is a complementary innovation. Now there was this Global Biofuel Alliance in news, right? Global Biofuel Alliance is also there in news, correct? So India, very important part, India has abundant organic waste, agricultural residues, and this bio resource availability supports what? All these things, because SAF, that reduced oil import dependence, rural employment, energy security, and feedstock supply. This will be there. Now, launch of the Global Biofuel Alliance at G20 Summit 2023. India, it held in India. G20 Summit was held in India in 2023. There it was launched, Global Biofuel Alliance, which works towards, again, what? Biofuel generation. Okay. So SAF is included in this GBA, Global Biofuel Alliance. SAF is the part. Okay. So there also, this topic also comes under this. Now, these are the targets, Indian target for SAF blending. 2025, 1% blending. Then by 28, international flight, 1 to 2% blending. 2030, 5%, 5% both domestic and international flight. So this is important, guys. Take care of this thing also, domestic and international. Okay. This can be said that by 2027-28, India's goal is to blend 1 to 2% of SAF in both domestic and international flight. Is it true? Is it true? Both domestic and international? 2027, 2027, 2028. Domestic and international. Is it true? Nothing has been said, right? International flights, 1 to 2% blending, not domestic, right? Domestic, 1% blending. 2030, 5% blending, right? 2040, 15% blending. Next is India prefers nationally determined targets over binding global mandate. Why? What does this mean, this line? India prefers nationally determined targets over the global binding mandate. Why? This also tells about what? Everyone has a different environment, different condition, different situation. India cannot match with UK's target, right? Or America's target or Germany's target. Can we match? No, because we have many challenges that those countries do not have. And we are the third world countries, yes or no? So we have different challenges, they have different challenges. We have to work for the basic things, right? Food security we have to maintain, yes or no? Energy security, food security, economic feasibility, environmental goals. So because of these things, we cannot. We should have what? Nationally determined target. That is why India accepted to be net neutral, carbon neutral by 2070. Yes or no? Now, International Organization for Aviation, global initiative to promote SAF. So other international organizations or countries are also taking the global initiative to promote the sustainable aviation fuel. How they are promoting? So ICA, this is an organization for the aviation sector globally. So carbon offsetting is there, reduction scheme for international aviation is there, airlines to offset emission beyond 2020 levels, and SAF incentivized as a compliance mechanism. Next is European Union, refuel EU aviation, blending. Target blending is there, 2%, 6% and 70% till 2050. Now World Economic Forum's clear skies for tomorrow. So see, these targets can be given to you and match the following kind of questions can come. That EU's target related to SAF is what? Then this is World Economic Forum's target. India's target is what? Like that. This can be asked. So 10% by 2030 and focus on financing and policy innovation. What is India's target by 2050? How much of blending we are going to do? Or 2040? 15%? Yes. Now these are the challenges to SAF adoption. So there are costs involved, right? Cost will be a huge task. High cost is there. SAF production cost is 2 to 3 times higher than the traditional fuels. Now comes the infrastructure. Definitely requires new system. Why? Not the parts, aircraft parts, no. But obviously storage, blending, right? Transport, feedstock availability is very important. It should not compromise with the food security or food that people are not getting. Seasonal, regional constraints are there. Environmental risk is there in the feedstock collection, and it can harm ecosystem. How we are getting this feedstock, right? Okay. Policy and finance, definitely need for tax intensive subsidies and public private partnership. These will be the challenges. Now, what are the solutions? Definitely, based on SAF, mains related question will come. So, it will talk about the challenges and what solutions are there. Hai na? So, challenges and solutions. So, solutions are what? Incentivize SAF through tax break that is already going on at the world level. Incentivizing the SAF, right? Subsidies, develop domestic SAF supply chain infrastructure, right? Encourage public-private partnership model, research on the second and third generation biofuel. This also becomes important. Okay, first generation biofuel, second, third, go and do the homework, because everything will not be included in this, right? Align GBA with domestic SAF goal. Whenever we are covering a topic, definitely some points will come to your mind and you will not understand some basic topics, right? Second generation, third generation biofuel. So this is your work to go and research about it. Okay, and then make notes or add into this only, right? Then it will be holistically covered. Align GBA, Global Biofuel Alliance, you should read, because this is the part of GBA has SAF in it. Okay, so read about that also, because it was launched in India. So becomes very important, guys. G20 summit in India was very important for us. And don't think that it has passed, so it will not be asked. No, it is not like that. Okay, it will be asked. So how it is matching with our SAF goal, right? Target for SAF blending, how it is matching. See the question, guys. Every part was discussed in the PPT, I think. First is, what is SAF and how does it differ from the conventional fuel? Next is, key environmental benefits of adopting SAF. Why is SAF is referred to as drop-in fuel? Huh? In prelims also, this can be asked that what are drop-in fuels? Statements will be given. 4 statements can be given, right? And that will be very closely matching to each other. So your concept clarity should be there. Okay. Next is, what are the primary feedstock used in SAF, right? How can India leverage its agricultural and waste resources to become a global exporter? We want to be a global hub for SAF generation, yes or no? Okay, if we have the potential, definitely we'll outsource it. Okay, next is, India positioned itself in the global SAF landscape, and what are its national blending target? Very simple question. What are the major global initiative for SAF? So what are the initiative, guys? Major at the global level SAF initiative. What were the European Union, World Economic Forum? Name of the initiatives? Clear skies for tomorrow, refuel EU, right? Okay, nahi likha. These words you can write, na? Correct? Writing. If you're not writing, no, I hope and I think you guys are going and making the notes of the current affairs, simply reading from the current affairs. Not even reading also, I think. Some people are not even reading. Are you guys making notes from these slides? Please make, because if you write, it will be there in your memory for long, writing, okay? Because much attention is given while we are writing. Okay, guys? How many students are there, guys? Why are you not giving the answers, online students? Okay. This was also in news. Why Namibia is important for us? Yeah. Why Namibia is important for us? PM Modi lands in Namibia. This is why the country and the continent of Africa matters to us. So what all things we are going to cover in this? Any idea? Ajil, any idea what all things we are going to cover in this? Dimensions? Huh? Sorry? Diaspora. Huh, that is a thing. Any other dimension, Ashwant? What all dimensions are we going to talk about in this topic, guys? Dev Pujita. This is part of international relation also, right? Economy also. Then society also. Huh? I will understand this thing. Okay. So many areas are covered because we are connected to Namibia not now, but during their independence struggle. India supported, always raised voice for Namibia's independence. So there was what? All the African continent, you know, right? You guys know, na, African continent? There was a scramble for Africa. There is a term which is used, scramble for Africa. What happened is, this colonization thing was going on, right? Every European power was racing for colonies. They wanted their colonies. Why? Because first of all, power. This shows the power. Second, they needed what? Resources, material, people. Yes or no? Colonization means that one empire, British Empire was there. So they will be making colonies in other state. It is a form of imperialism. Imperialism is what? In extending the boundaries of one's empire. There are two terms, imperialism and colonialism. Imperialism, colonialism, they are the ideology. Imperialism is an ideology which believes in extending the empire and expanding it, okay, direct control. Then comes the colonialism. In colonialism, some power will be given to the people of the area. It is an overseas colony, basically, okay, not closely attached to the power, but from in some other area, okay. So there they will be making the having the authority, everything, power will be of the mother country, but people will be given some small powers or some responsibilities. So colonialism is a part of imperialism, okay, and a practical part of imperialism. So Namibia was also colonized by Germans, okay, it was under Germany's control, okay. So what happened is, it gained independence from Germany. But next thing what happened to them is, South Africa also was liberated. Many African countries were liberated, but many were under the South African government only. What happened is, there was a white minority of Africans who started ruling the other African countries. Even when the big powers after World War II, they gave the independence to these countries, then South African government, national government, started ruling over these small countries like Namibia and other countries of African continent. Okay, then also they did not get the independence. So India raised the voice everywhere because 1947 India gained independence, and this is very late. Okay, 1990s 1990 they gained independence, I think. So this is very late. So India always raised the voice to the United Nations also, wherever it got the platform. It not only raised the voice, it called the people from there also, leaders also, gave the training to diplomats. So diplomatic relation is also there, and other relations are also there. Okay, so this all things we are going to cover in this topic: historical relation, current relation, economy based relation, trade, whatever is going on. So it talks about India and Africa, geopolitics, IR. He is the first in 27 years to visit Africa, Namibia. And then this paper is very important for us in the context of IR, essay examples. This is Namibia, this is South Africa. So here minorities were there, white minority, then black majority was there in the African continent. Okay, white minorities were ruling the black majority. So this visit aims to what? Boost cooperation in critical minerals. Last time we covered critical minerals, right? Energy, health, defense, education, and development. India-Namibia relation. So United Nations General Assembly, India always championed. Championed is the word that you can use. Championed, voiced, okay, supported. These are the words that you can use. Independence in 1946. First SWAPO, Southwest Africa People Organization Embassy opened in New Delhi in 1986. First SWAPO, okay. So this was opened in 1986. It provided military training, material aid and NAM, non-alignment movement support to the Namibia anti-apartheid struggle. Apartheid was the policy that was introduced for the black majority people. It was kind of a rules and regulation document, and people had to follow this apartheid, okay, which was made for the black majority people in Africa. Like they have to carry the voter ID card so that they can track their movement, they can track every activity that they are doing. They were not free to do many things, right? Like voting rights were not given to them. Namibia gained independence March 1990. The Indian Observer Mission became the High Commission. So Indian Observer Mission, High Commission was made. Namibian founder Sam Nujoma visited India 11 times. This is the kind of relationship that we are building since 1946. Okay. Last Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he visited the country. Pranab Mukherjee visited in 2016, reaffirmed India's commitment to South-South solidarity. So since 1946, India is building this South-South solidarity, cooperating. Okay. Now, these are the areas of engagement: critical minerals and energy security. Why? Because uranium, critical mineral, okay, uranium powder. So third largest uranium producer Namibia is, and then major producer of lithium, zinc and rare earth, which is very important, offers strategic opportunity for energy transition. Yes or no? So that is why we are having a very good advantage. Now trade and investment. Trade and investment. So Namibia, India trade is there. Exports 418 million, and then imports are 235 million. Main trade items are what? Mineral oil, pharma. FDI in Namibia, it is $800 million. Capacity building and training. So this India is doing since ages. Okay, so it is training the defense, diplomats, public health official, cricketers. Indian wing at University of Namibia's Ongediva campus. Humanitarian aid also we provide, like Covishield vaccine, which is a vaccine diplomacy, soft power diplomacy, right? Next is 2017-19 rice for drought relief. Okay, disaster support also we provide, and Namibia supports us for the UNSC seat, permanent seat bid. Cheetah diplomacy 2022, another important factor. See, definitely question will be asked on the, in IR questions are asked relations, right? So these are the points that you have to mention, what all aspects we are covering. Cheetah diplomacy is there. First time what happened is cheetahs were brought from Namibia in 2022. So world's first intercontinental carnivore relocation, very important. Okay, world's first. So whatever is world first, nations first, it becomes important for us. Okay, 2022 translocation of cheetah to India, MOU was signed. Next is strengthens what? Wildlife diplomacy, biodiversity cooperation. So this is another area which we should add in international relations. Okay. Thank you, student, whoever is giving heart in the class. Who is this student who is liking the class? Okay. India in Africa, a strategic overview. So see, China is also present there. So definitely, problem is there, right? Economic engagement. India-Africa trade, see and make the comparison. China-Africa trade, double, right? Next is what? India's FDI in Africa, 76 billion, and China ka is not given. Ongoing infra project is what? 65 and 43. Completed projects target by 2030 is what? 150 billion investment. Currently it is 76 billion investment. $76 billion investment. So it has to double 150 billion. We have to go. Strategic cooperation. So South-South cooperation. And the builders, pillars are what? Defense building, capacity building, climate resilience, these are the things. Now, India versus China in Africa. How India is making relationship and how China is. What are the pillars of relations or pillars of making the engagement? People. Our approach towards Africa is what? It is people centric, right? It is here infrastructure centric, right? It is what? Transactional. They are focusing on transactional kind of relationship. It is transformative. We are focusing on transformative thing. This is transactional thing. Okay. People centric, moral diplomacy. Here, debt driven. ITEC, health, agriculture focus. We are not limited to infrastructure or only export import thing. We are focusing on people. Okay. Next is Belt and Road and other initiatives. Emphasis on sovereignty, choice. We have always supported their leadership, right? Their independence. And this is strategic dependency. Emotional, ideological support also we provide. This is debt pressure, economic leverage. This is kind of economic imperialism. So imperialism has different forms because the time is changing, right? So nature of imperialism will also change. No country is self-dependent. No country, in true terms, nobody is independent now also. True freedom has not been given or been enjoyed by any country. Yes or no? Influence is there. Economic influence will be there or strategic influence will be there. Some kind of influence is there. So these influences are termed as neo-imperialism. Neo-imperialism means new kind of imperialism. Economic imperialism can be there or some other imperialism is used by the major powers now also. Okay, so this is China also uses economic imperialism. Two of Namibia's radioactive mines are majority owned by Chinese firm, which is concerning for India. Now, this is very important. This quote you can write in your answer. How you will write and why will you write? See, India's priority is not just Africa, but it is African. It was told by the Prime Minister Modi. Okay, so we are touching not just the continent, but the lives of people. Why? Because we are giving training also in everywhere. We are trying to help Africans in the true way, right? To transform their life. Okay. Now, G20, India championed African Union's permanent membership in G20. India seeks to counterbalance China in Africa, promote multipolarity, non-alignment, and build global South. Okay. This is a question. India's Africa policy marks a shift from transactional diplomacy to transformational partnership. Okay, now you write the answer. What all things can you write? Okay, it is moving away from transactional to transformative. With reference to India's engagement in Namibia and Africa, you have to write the answer. Okay, so what all things you can write? So these examples are also given. You can highlight these examples or areas, dimensions you can add. Then comes what? Trace the historical roots of India-Namibia relation. Why critical minerals from Namibia important for India's energy security? Compare India and China's approaches to engagement with Africa. How does India promote South-South cooperation? And what is the significance of the African Union inclusion in G20? Okay, so India is voicing for Africa in G20. Namibia is voicing for India's seat in UNSC. Okay, so this way we support and cooperate each other. These are the basis of making relationships. Okay, now these are the things that you can read. African Union, you can read this trade area, free trade area of the African continent. Then India-Namibia Cheetah Agreement. Now, this is the previous year question. These kind of questions come in the previous year. What is this question? India's relationship. See the nature of question, guys. It is exactly not the question. Namibia related question did not come, but other countries are also there. What is the question? India's relation with Israel of late acquired a depth and diversity which cannot be rolled back. So this kind of question come. Now, second is what? Indian diaspora has a decisive role to play in the politics and economy of American European countries. Please understand the importance. Wherever Prime Minister is going, see the larger context also and see the relationship of that country with India also, specifically to the region also, and the larger, broader perspective also. Global South cooperation or South-South cooperation, South-South solidarity. Definitely question will come. Okay. So start making notes. Huh? Bullet points, updating the notes, very, very important. This was in news, right? Why this topic is important and how questions can come from this topic, how interlinkage can be done. Keeladi excavation and its relevance for UPSC exam. I hope I am pronouncing it right. सही है? Okay. Evidence, not politics, must shape the history from the Keeladi. So how history is constructed? Guys, what is history first of all? What is history? What basis? Aslam. History is coming from the word historia, Greek word historia, which means investigation. Okay, so history is nothing but investigation. Investigation is done on what basis? बताओ investigation कैसे होता है? What basis do we investigate? There are some sources. Sources होते हैं ना? Proof. हाँ, how can you say this, right? So we cannot say anything in history. It has to be proven. है ना? It has to be corroborated from some fact or proof. This is how history is made. So whenever what happens is history is rewritten. Yes or no? This debate is going on that we have to write history. Now government is very much focused in doing what? Understanding the Indus Valley script, because it might change the entire history, the way we are understanding the ancient history, right? Completely it will be changing. And 99% of the history is still not, we do not know, right? So it will be changing, and Harappa's history is very much important for us. We are not able to decipher the script. Okay. So government is taking too much interest because that is very important for us also. Nobody is able to decipher it. So this excavation was done, evidence we got related to the Sangam era, and IVC will also be discussed in this, right? So what happened is, now we are trying to rewrite the history because evidences have been found. Now it is relevant for Indian culture, history. Why in the news? Excavation in Tamil Nadu. They have sparked a debate. Why? Because urbanization in South India is the topic. When did urbanization in South India come? Okay, as early as 8th century BCE. Now what is the information that writing, right? This started in Sangam era. Before that, we do not have the finding, excavation, no proof is there, right? Now this is going back. This is going to the 8th century CE, BCE. 8th century BCE history is going back, right? So very important finding. The final ASI report 2023 is being contested for dating the site earlier than what is accepted by the ASI reviewers. New artifacts have been found, including the weighing units and pottery with Tamil Brahmi, and this has made the urbanization process in South India as early as 8th century BCE. Just remember this fact. Okay, until now we know that literacy, urbanization, they were part of the Sangam era. Okay, and this is linked to the Sangam era. How? Because of the writing. Okay, Tamil Brahmi script that they use, it matches, okay, with the Sangamera. Now, location is what? Location is very important. Madurai, Tamil Nadu. This river, guys, this river is important. Vaigai. Okay, this will be asked. Definitely. Okay. So, rivers are always asked related to the historical sites. Now, this all started 2014 excavation began under K. Amarnath Ramakrishna, and there onwards, what is going on is site excavated by Tamil Nadu State Department of Archaeology. 2023 final report submitted. 2025 ASI asked for report revision. Now artifacts that have been found, and why we are saying that it is related to urbanization. What is urbanization first of all? There are words called industrialization, urbanization. What is urbanization? Online students, what is urbanization? Urban life. I am living a urban life. City life. What is city life? हाँ, ये देखो गाइस, ये है फीचर्स ऑफ अर्बनाइजेशन। क्या है बताओ, क्या है? लिटरेसी होगा, ठीक है, इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम होगा, वेट्स होंगे, मेजर्स होंगे, प्रॉपर हाउसिंग पैटर्न होगा, देयर विल बी अ प्रॉपर हाउसिंग पैटर्न, ग्रिड स्ट्रक्चर, हाँ, देयर विल बी a science behind the things that we are doing. Okay, trade links, so brick structure, furnaces, drainage system. City life structured hota hai, there is structured way, no, in which we live in the cities, yes or no? So city life is there, structured way of drainage is there, then Tamil Brahmi inscription, literacy is there, carnelian beads which tell us about the trade link. Okay, next is iron tools, iron smelting tools, crystal weighing units is there, economic system which tells us about the economic system, then social and cultural life is there, figurines, double burial urns, burial system is very important related to every culture, so burial urns have been found, custom corroborated by Sangam text, so Sangam text is found there. Okay, Sangam text is found there. These are the pictures, you can go through every picture and read the title of the picture which is given. Okay, this is the weighing unit, that is a potsherd. These are the pictures that I have added. See, can you see this line? Whatever tool has been found, there is a short description note that carries the serial number of the poem in the Sangam corpus. Okay, so it is matching with the poem in the Sangam corpus. There is a serial number given. Now, how it is linking with the Sangam literature? So, Sangam age is what? This is the Sangam age, 3rd century BCE to 3rd century CE. Okay, it refers to social, economic, political, and burial perspective or practices. So, related to every age, there is some common cultural system. There is an economic system that they follow. This is how we distinguish one age from the other age. Artifacts such as iron tool, dice, dagger, bead, they have been found at Kilidi, which matches with the Sangam poetic references. Serial number has been given of the Sangam poetic references, right? Sangam, serial numbered Sangam poems are displayed. Okay, now what is the debate? Intellectual and political significance of this excavation. What is the intellectual and political significance? Now, urbanization process in second urbanization in the ancient history. Ancient India started in which era? Second urbanization, okay, 600 BCE. First urbanization, Harappan civilization. Second, 600 BCE. Why? Because new ideas were coming, new ideologies were coming, right? More trade started happening, right? People started using coins. Okay, 600 BCE, punched marked coins were used. Economic system developed, right? Mahajanpadas. Okay, Mahajanpadas came into existence. Territory, empire, political boundaries, they all started. So this is second urbanization phase of ancient India. Okay, so it is usually said that urbanization came from North India to South India. This is a debate, right? Yes or no? Okay, so this excavation tells what? That Ganges Valley centric model of Indian urbanization is not there. Okay, so it challenges this view that urbanization came from there. No, it is not like that. Okay, it is localized. Urbanization is localized. Like Harappa also. When Harappan civilization, these people found the Britishers came, right? Because of them, excavation started, right? Railway work started. So these people came. Hana, railway started in 19th century, right? 1850s, railway work started. So when they were digging the areas around northwestern India, right? So they found some bricks, right? And many people were taking the brick. Local people, what they used to do, they were digging this area, right? And whenever they found the brick, they used to dig more and more, and they were using all Harappan civilization bricks in their houses, and this was such a damage to the Harappan civilization sites, you know. Then these people saw, the excavators saw that there is a proper sequence is there, right? in which the bricks are laid. So they gave the attention to this thing, and they then understood, they uncovered everything. They understood that there was a civilization which was living here. Then this started, history started, right, about this Harappan civilization. Then we came to know that there was a urbanized life which started here, right, which was very advanced than the Mesopotamian and other civilization also. So this is the history. But what happened is, how did this urbanization came to India? Everyone was very curious. And Britishers, what they were doing is, they were giving this inferiority complex, right? Giving the feeling of inferiority to the Indian people, that you are not capable of doing anything. So it challenged, to prove this thing, they said what? That this civilization, Harappan civilization, cannot be a product of the local factors, right? It cannot be the indigenous work of Indian people. It cannot be the work of indigenous people. It is definitely coming from some outside influence. Okay, so they told that this is a work of Aryan, Indo-Aryan tribe. Harappan civilization is the work of Indo-Aryan tribe or Aryan people. But this was not there because of the DNA, right? DNA finding, right? DNA investigation, because of that, it was not true. So this is happening in Harappa also, and this happened in here also. It supports the idea that urbanization literacy may have developed simultaneously in South and North India. So this Keeladi excavation is telling us what? That South and North India, the literacy, the urbanization is going together, not a part of or a product of influence of the other one. Okay, so this does what? Corroborates this thing. Okay, that these are going independently. Now, adds weight to the independent origin of Tamil culture, predating Mauryan expansion. So, Mauryan expansion started 600 BCE, right? This is also what? Now, see, these are the sites related to Harappan civilization. When we find a site, this becomes important to study about other sites also. So comparative sites that we can see is Harappan civilization, Rakhigadi. This is the most advanced study, right? 2014, what happened is Harappan civilization. Earlier, what happened is Mohenjo-daro used to be the largest site of Harappan civilization, right? But when Rakhigadi was excavated properly, then we came to know that Rakhigadi is actually the biggest site of Harappan civilization, more than Mohenjo-daro's expansion, which is in Pakistan now. Okay, Mohenjo-daro is a Harappan site. So largest known Indus Valley site in India is Rakhigadi. Okay, what evidences have we found there is houses are there, drainage system, jewelry making unit, cylindrical seal, double burial, and DNA study. Because of the investigation of DNA study, we found that there is no relation between the Central Asian tribe. No influence coming from there. It is Harappan civilization is the work of independent indigenous people, local people. Okay. Next is what? Ratnagiri, Odisha. So this is what? Ratnagiri. Yeah. Huh. Double burial means two people buried together. Okay. Two people buried together. Ha. Culture, part of culture. In many civilizations, we found that two bodies will be kept together. Okay, whoever is dying will be kept at a place, and then again the other person, if it is dying, there according to their wish, the bodies will be kept that area only. Okay, in Kashmir, we have found one man's body with a dog's body. You know, so it is like it shows the love. You know, dog burial with man. So it shows the love. This is also an example of double burial. So different culture, different burial system are there. In one burial, we have found a male and female buried together, right? So it might be a tradition or might be something else that they're following. So this is called as double burial system. Okay. Now Ratnagiri. Ratnagiri also becomes important for us. So this is Buddhist Vajrayan site, part of Odisha's Buddhist diamond triangle. These are the example finding that you can read. Colossal Buddha head, palm relics have found, and this is important medieval Buddhism studies, important for medieval Buddhism studies. So this is Ratnagiri, Odisha, excavations. Lalitgiri is also there. It is also related to Buddhism. Then Udayagiri is also there, which is related to the Buddhism, Tantric Buddhism. So these are the sites related to Buddhism. So whenever we study about excavation or other sites, we should go and study about Harappan civilization also, because it is very important. Every time question comes, this time also question came, which was very simple actually. This year prelims history question, if you see, they were very simple, repetitive themes were there, right? And 2-3 questions were difficult. So urbanization, this topic is important. Why? Because urbanization talks about urbanization in early South India, independent cultural development, link between literature and archaeology. Historical, how historical stories are written, regional cultural pride, this talks about that also. Now, the finding at Keeladi challenge the traditional Ganga-centric narrative of Indian civilization. What are the implications of these discoveries on understanding early Indian history? Right? So all the changes or all the things that have changed our way of seeing history, we have to write here. Right? Now, this answer, guys, questions, answer. Which are the historical cultural sites often called as part of Diamond Triangle of Odisha? This has been asked many times in the examination, competitive examination. If you talk about PSC, Buddhism becomes very important, or UPSC also. So these kind of question you can expect. Hana, related to Buddhist site, related to Harappan sites, related to the other sites. Okay. So answer is what? Any guesses? A. How many of you say A? Why are you saying A? Because I mentioned those things. Oh, very smart people. Kya baat hai yaar. Correct. Clap. Clapping. Okay, now we covered these sites. Now Tamil Nadu. What are the archaeological sites in Tamil Nadu specifically? So one kind of question that can be asked is, sites name can be given. How many of them are in Tamil Nadu? Right. Related to the ancient India. So these slides I have added. Arika Medu is there, right? Information is given. You can do this part. This is your work, okay? So everything cannot be discussed in the class. Arika Medu is there. Kaveri Patnam is there. Next is what? क्या है? Alangukalam. Okay. So these are the sites. Atiram Pakkam. So these sites should be there in your mind, okay? And then Keeladi. Okay, this topic again is in news. This is past year news only, but again this is in news. Why? Because BRICS meeting was there, right? So again this topic has been re-emerging. Yes or no? What is European Union CBAM and why BRICS condemned and rejected it? India is already rejecting it, condemning it, that it is not okay. CBAM, carbon border? Eh? Europe's carbon border tax is an import duty which is kept on a product manufactured in a country that has more lax climate rules than the EU. Carbon border adjustment mechanism. Okay, so the topic is CBAM and global opposition. Why BRIC is condemning it? Why BRIC is rejecting it? So this is related to the GS paper 2, 3. Why in the news? Because major developing economies condemned and rejected the CBAM, calling it a discriminatory. This is very important, guys. Discriminatory, protectionist, climate-related trade barrier. So one kind of question that can be made is, developing nations are terming CBAM as discriminatory and protectionist climate-related barrier. Why? Evaluate or critically examine, right? So this kind of question can also be given. So we will cover these things. Now, full form you already know now, launched by European Union. What is the intention of launching this carbon border adjustment mechanism? To put a carbon price on everything which is being produced and which is emitting the carbon in the environment, imported good, but this will be put on the imported good. Okay, so whatever is entering the EU, that will be taxed. Their carbon emission, preventing carbon leakage. What is carbon leakage? What is carbon leakage? Guys, carbon is leaking from where? What is carbon leakage? You read this thing, na? But what is carbon leakage, guys? Huh? Huh? No. Carbon leakage, but good. You should participate. Yes, guys, bolo. Carbon leakage is what? सोचो सोचो. Think. क्या है? Relocating. Huh? So relocating production to countries with less climate related rules. So what happens is, if European Union, any country has a carbon related tax or carbon emission is not allowed. So what that company will do, if it is located in EU, it will go to some other country where less regulations are there related to the climate environment. Then it will start start manufacturing the things, right? But what happens at the global level, that instead of saving some money, they are actually not, impact is not being lessened. They are producing the carbon that they should produce, but not in the one specific area. This is carbon leakage, that it is producing the carbon, but shift has been there in the location. So actually not contributing towards the carbon goal. Is it okay? No, this is not okay. So this is why EU's carbon tax has been kept, so that carbon leakage can be avoided. Okay. But this is discriminatory. Why this is discriminatory, Ajil? Developing nations are saying this is discriminatory. Why? Huh? Business? Think about it. बहुत simple answer है. EU will tax this thing on the imported goods. Ab EU has many country relations now. Many countries export goods to EU. Yes or no? Including India, China. So we will also be taxed. Right? Is it good? No, this is discriminatory. Then trade barrier, no. It is affecting our trade. Hana? Our goods will be costlier in the European market, yes or no? Even the popular goods. And if it is costlier, people will, no, it's not good. How it is good? It will only restrict the countries in exporting. It will not be good, right? Production will go some other place, no? Do you think that it will be less? No, it will not be less. The shift will be there, right? Definitely, but it will not be less. We will be producing that much only, right? India is going to South Asian markets, right? We are looking for new markets. Anytime these kind of tools can be devised against any country, right? This will not have an impact. Just a tool to do what? Discrimination. Start year is what? Transitional phase. Full implementation will start from 2026, guys. 2026 is the year in which it will be launched full-fledged level. Okay? Remember this point. Statement can be given. Now, sectors that are covered are very important: iron and steel, cement, fertilizer, hydrogen, electricity, and obviously many areas will also be coming. Many other areas will also come. Two things you have to remember is 2026 it is going to start on a full-fledged level. Second thing, this is on imported goods. Okay, these two are currently important. Now EU importers must buy the carbon certificate equivalent to the carbon cost of goods that have been produced in the EU. Next is, if the exporting country means India, if it has already imposed a carbon price, then the amount will be deducted when it will be imported. Then double charge will not be there. Okay, if we already include a carbon price. Next is, EU claims CBM is WTO compliant and aims to encourage cleaner production globally. But we are not able to do the cleaner production. Every country is not able to do that, right? Why BRICS and other countries are rejecting it? These are the arguments that are given by the developing nations. This is discriminatory. This is not treating everyone equally, because we do not have the infrastructure, we do not have that kind of technology that we can produce clean or green kind of products, right? Clean green products means carbon is not used. Okay, guys? So it is unilateral and protectionist. It is only protecting their industries. It is not protecting us, right? And it is unilateral. It is not, global consensus has not been taken while taking this decision. And it goes against the WTO compliance. Okay. Free trade is not going to happen now. Some restrictions are there, right? Next is disadvantages. Exports will be there. Countries like India, Brazil, China, South Africa, costlier carbon intensive goods will be there. Common but differentiated responsibility, CBDR, I told you. So it will violate that thing also. Every country has a different responsibility, right? So one equal law cannot be made for everyone. There should be some concession, right? If carbon tax is there, there should be some specific clause for developing nations, or some reduction should be there in the carbon tax. Applying same kind of tax, 30%, 10% to all the products is not good at all. Fair treatment is not there. So this is why we are saying this thing. Paris Agreement allows for differentiated obligation. Every country has a different role in climate change, so they should be held responsible in a different way. If China is producing more, definitely more contribution should be there. Developed nation, more contribution should be there. But developing nation, less contribution should be there towards the climate change. So it is said that it is climate linked neo-protectionism. So again, neo-protectionism. So many countries protect their industries, their domestic manufacturing in many different ways. So it is a kind of neo-protectionism again. And this, they have linked it with the environment. This is the thing. Okay. So it is seen as a way for developed countries to retain the industrial advantage under the guise of environmental action. Undermines trust in climate negotiation. We saw already COP29. What was the finance mechanism? How many million of dollars were kept as a commitment for developing countries that they will be giving? How many millions of dollars? 300 million. Definitely this question will be asked. UPSC already saw this year that they are asking the budget related question also. Numbers. $300 million was set ready for the commitment, right, by the developed nation. But actually they need $1.46 trillion, right? So COP28, COP29 saw opposition from basic countries. Market distortion is there. This line is important. Why? Climate-linked neo-protectionism is the practice of using environmental standard as trade tool by developed countries to protect what? Their industries. Okay, so this is neo-protectionism tool which they are using. Developing countries are saying this at the cost of developing countries' growth, right? Their economic growth and trade. Okay, so this is the argument given by developing countries. Now BRICS has released the statement 2025. What it says it? We reject unilateral, punitive and discriminatory measure such as CBAM. Okay. Linked to how this carbon tax is linked to international law and climate treaties. So WTO works as what? Free and fair trade should be there. Paris Agreement Article 4 recognizes CBDR. COP28 final declaration warned against arbitrary trade restriction. COP29 delayed the plenary, but EU resisted discussion on CBAM. Comparison. CBAM and India and BRICS. So this is what? Market-driven climate action via taxation, development first approach with equity. What is India's stand and what is European Union's stand? Right. Next is high carbon pricing, low historic. India and China, they have low historic emission. Low historic emission means in history, past decades, these countries, developing countries, did not industrialize. They did not emit the carbon dioxide that is there now, that we are facing. The climate change is happening because of the emission that has been generated. that has been released, carbon that has been released in the previous years, which is released by developed countries, right? So high emission countries are the developed countries, so we should not bear the cost of the developed countries, right? Now, they are saying that this is WTO compliant, but this is violating the WTO rules. Trade barrier disguised as green policy, and this is green protectionism according to India. Other countries also have climate related trade measures like USA, right? IRA is there, EU, ban on illegally logged forest good, UK, Canada exploring CBAM like mechanism, and Trump era tariff is also there. Protectionism, not climate based, but linked to energy security. Now, the effect on India. Definitely, sectors that these CBM covers is iron, steel, है Then, what are the sectors? Iron and steel and energy, right? And guys, fertilizer, aluminium. So these industries are going to face the burden of the climate carbon tax. Now, compliance costs will increase due to carbon intensity audits and certification. India's position is what? It violates the CBDR and equity, and then India has committed to net zero by 2070, but it needs investment, it needs financing support from the other countries. So this is in a concern of India. Now the mains practice question, what is CBAM? Critically examine its implication for developing countries like India and principle of equity in global climate governance. Answer, who will give the answer? CBAM. With reference to CBAM, consider the following statement. A, which all are correct? Aslam, answer. Yes, Priyanka, we're trying our best, right? But everything cannot be discussed in detail. Some research part you also have to do, right? Because there are so many things, but we will give the important dimensions. Every important part will be kept in the slide. So some homework you also can do. That will be good, right? Yeah. B, B and C. Answer is, please tell me the answer, guys. Correct statement. Is first correct? First is not correct. CBAM imposes a carbon tax on the goods exported. Imported, right? So it is a tax on the goods imported. So imported to EU, right? Next is what? It aims to prevent carbon leakage by taxing import based on emission intensity. Is it correct? Third, CBAM is currently applicable to only to fossil fuel and electricity. Third statement. Correct? It's currently applicable only to fossil fuel and electricity. Where is fertilizer? Huh? Chemical. Right? Answer is, first is incorrect. It applies to import, not export. Third is incorrect. So, two only. So, value add for answers interviews is what? CBAM reflects the evolving geopolitics of climate action, where green agenda are now intertwined with trade and industrial competition. It is a collaboration, not coercion. True climate justice lies in collaboration, not coercion. Everyone cannot follow the same thing, right? So, true cooperation, collaboration should be there. The principle of polluter pays must not become producer punished in the global south. This is very good statement, right? That polluter pays principle is followed, and it should not turn into the producer punished, because definitely we are on a different path. We developing countries are on a different path. We are going towards industrialization and we are going towards the growth, and these countries are already polluted. They have polluted the world, right? So this is the thing. This is the voice of India. So related to CBM, these kind of question can be asked. What is the standing of developing countries? What is the standing of European Union? Conflict, right? And all the points you can mention: WTO, Paris Agreement, what they talk. So this is how you give the quality to your answer when you specify these things. Okay. So we'll end the class now. Thank you so much for attending the live. See, everything, I'm again telling you, every topic cannot be discussed. Everything cannot be discussed. Some static part will be discussed in the class, because many of the things are not discuss detail in this class, because we have limitation of time, right? So what we can do is, we can go a brief. I'd already tried to give you, right, a brief about the civilization or the other things that are not understandable, right? But you should also go and research about the things that you do not understand. Don't go in detail, but overview you can have. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see you next week, same time, 11 a.m. Study hard and all the best for your preparation.